Hi, and welcome to the video training of JavaScript. In this video training, we will be looking at how and where to use callbacks and what the heck is a callback. So what is a callback? Simply, a callback is a function that is to be executed after another function has finished executing, hence the name callback. In JavaScript, functions are objects. Because of this, functions can take functions as arguments and can be returned by other functions. Functions that do this are called higher order functions. Any function that is passed as an argument is called a callback function. So why do we need callbacks? For one very important reason, JavaScript is an event-driven language. This means that instead of waiting for a response before moving on, JavaScript will keep executing while listening for other events. Let's look at basic example. We have a function first which console.log 1, then we have a function second which console.log 2, and then we are going to call first function and the second function. Let's see this in action. Let's go to console and personal projects JavaScript, do mkdir callbacks, cd callbacks. Let me set the permissions, callbacks, and sublime index.js. Just call it index.html. Okay, so here we have a script tag, and here we have our function first, and here we are going console.log 1. Then we have a second function second, console.log 2, and now I'm going to call the first function and the second function here. Let's save this file. Okay, let's save it in my projects documents or home, personal projects, JavaScript, and callbacks. Let's call this file callback.html. Okay, and let's run this file in the browser to see the results. Personal projects, JavaScript, callbacks, and I double click this file here to run it in the browser. And if we want to see the developer tools, let me change it to desktop, and here, so you can see it printed out 1 first and 2 secondly, because of the way we described and we outlined these functions. As you would expect, the function first is executed first and the function second is executed secondly, logging the function following in the console. All good so far, but what if function first contains some sort of code that can't be executed immediately? For example, an API request where we have to send the request then wait for a response. To simulate this function, we are going to use setTimeout, which is a JavaScript function that calls a function after a set amount of time. We will delay our function for 500 milliseconds to simulate an API request. Our new code will look like this. Function first, simulate a code delay. setTimeout function console.log with 500 milliseconds. Then we have a second function second, console.log 2, and then we are going to run first and second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the function first here, and I'm going to add setTimeout function here, and this receives an anonymous function, and it runs every 500 milliseconds, and wait, okay, set timeout right here. And now let's refresh our code. You see it printed out 2 first and 1 secondly because of the timeout delay 500 milliseconds. It's not important that you understand how set timeout works right now. All that matters is that you have seen and saw what moved our console.log 1 inside of our 500 millisecond delay. So what happens now when we invoke our functions first and second? Even though we invoked the first function first, we logged out the result of that function after the second function. It's not that JavaScript didn't execute our functions in the order we wanted it to. It's instead that JavaScript didn't wait for a response from the first before moving on to execute second function. So why show you this? Because you can't just call one function after another and hope they execute in the right order. Callbacks are a way to make sure certain code doesn't execute until other code has already finished execution. So let's create a callback. Alright, enough talk, let's create a callback. First, open up your Chrome Developer Console and type the following function declaration into your console. We are going to do this in our current file. So we are going to use the same code here. I'm going to comment this out and start here. So we have do homework function, do homework, which receives a subject and it alerts starting my homework. Okay, above we have created the function do homework. Our function takes one variable, the subject that we are working on. Call your function by typing the following into your console: do homework math. So if I call this function do homework and I say math, so what this should do is it should alert it on the screen starting my math homework. Now let's add in our callback. As our last parameter in the do homework function, we can pass in callback. The callback function is then defined in the second argument of our call to do homework. So let's modify our do homework function, and the second parameter we are going to receive is called callback. And after alerting starting my homework, I'm going to call the callback function here as a second parameter, second statement, and now we are going to call do homework and we are going to pass second parameter as a function, and this function says alert finished my homework. Okay, now let's refresh our page and you see it says starting my math homework and says finished my homework. So the second statement in the first statement in the do homework call alert finish my homework executed right after starting my subject homework. As you will see, if you type the above code in your console, you will get the two alerts back to back: your started homework alert followed by your finished homework alert. But callback functions don't always have to be defined in our function call. They can be defined elsewhere in our code like this: function do homework subject callback alert starting my subject homework. This is the same function that we have in our code, do homework. And the second function is alert finished. So here we are calling alert finished, and we are not passing any home. Okay, let's change it. Function alert finished. Finished my homework here, and now I'm going to call do homework, pass in math, and pass this function as a parameter. This is a specialty of JavaScript that you can pass functions as parameter to other functions. So let's save this file and run it again in the browser. You see we have started my math homework and then we have finished my homework, same result. So this is pretty interesting in context of the JavaScript. The result of this is, as an example, exactly the same as the previous example, but the setup is a little different. As you can see, we have passed the alert finished function definition as an argument during our do homework function call. Thanks for watching this video. Please do subscribe to my channel if you liked this video. You can reach me if you need any assistance. I'll be more than happy to reply back. Thank you very much.